I have a goal to use up all of my yarn and fabric scraps to make a bunch of different projects. And I want to use this opportunity to take my main craft, punch needle, to new heights. For generations, punch needle has been used to adorn the floors and walls of homes across North America and beyond. But is that all there is to this fiber art? Can we do more? Can we make punch needle wearable? Oh my god, you guys, this is incredible. Let's find out. Welcome to Destash Diaries, Episode 3. We're gonna make a punch needle corset belt, and I felt compelled to do this because of a book called Punch Needle Fashion by Micah Clasper-Torch. In this book, Micah gives us a bunch of really cool techniques and projects for punch needle wearables, and I've dabbled in creating some punch needle accessories long before this book ever came out. But I thought Micah's projects and techniques were really cool and unique, and I want to use the corset belt project in particular as a destash opportunity. I have never done something like this before. Best case scenario, I make a really cute wearable and expand my skill horizons. Worst case scenario, I fail miserably and this video devolves into me sobbing into the mic. Let's hope that doesn't happen. What I'm doing right now is cutting out the printable corset belt pattern that Micah very generously includes as part of her book. For some reason, I decided that like a weeknight at 7 p.m. was the best time to start this project. There was no way I'd be able to do any sort of punching or anything really, and still have a healthy sleep schedule. So what I did was I decided to design the pattern that would be on my corset belt, which honestly looks kind of ugly right now, but just wait, let me cook. I also decided to do some color planning as well. I feel like doing any dyeing, even if it's with yarn or fabric that I already have, I don't know, it kind of doesn't feel like it's in the spirit of Destash Diaries. So I basically had a few wool fabric sheets to kind of center my entire color palette around. And you know, I realized it's been a long time since I made anything orange. Yes, I got inspired by listening to hours and hours of Orange Lounge. No, I'm not sorry about it. Go listen to Orange Lounge right now. Anyways, I decided to center my color palette around orange, but we've also got a bunch of dark blue, light blue, green, rust, and white. So this is gonna be my color palette. Tomorrow we're gonna start punching. Good morning, it is day 2 of Project Corset Belt, and we cut out our pattern, but before we can start punching with it, we're gonna have to test out our sizing here. So I'm tracing and cutting out the pattern as is onto some scrap cotton flannel. The corset pattern seems to be the right size at first glance, but here's the problem. The pattern doesn't include the front plackets, aka the parts that we're gonna lace through to tighten the corset. So if we include those, then the current pattern is too big. We're gonna have to cut it. Okay, hello, I'm back. I basically ended up cutting the entire center part of the paper pattern. I don't know if this is gonna work. We're gonna find out. Oh my god, I'm nervous. I brought out my big gripper frame, and I pre-stretched some monk's cloth onto the frame before tracing the pattern. If I trace the pattern before getting my fabric onto the frame, once I do get it on, it'll stretch a bit, and I'd like to keep this corset at its actual size, so I'm tracing the pattern on stretched fabric. And yes, this looks absolutely ridiculous. This looks ridiculous. My problem was that my trusty dusty 18 by 18 frame was too small to trace this pattern, but this frame is my only frame bigger than my 18 by 18, and it is just so unwieldy, and it takes up a ridiculous amount of desk space, as you can see here. Like, look at that. Tell me that this isn't the most ridiculous thing ever. But let me tell you, it took me 35 minutes to completely stretch this onto my frame. We're not taking it off. We're getting to punching. So as you can see, my design is very angular, so I had to draw a bunch of guidelines before I started punching so that everything was evenly spaced out. But come on, tell me this doesn't look sick. Like, the mix of the solids and the variegated orange looks so cool. The dark blue yarn that I'm using is also heathered, so I'm just thinking about that yarn plus the variegated orange, just how awesome they're gonna look together. Oh my god, I'm so excited. And I'm supposed to keep flipping my work around to see if it looks all right, but like this frame is so heavy, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother. Okay, it is 9 p.m. and in the interest of maintaining a decent sleep schedule, I'm gonna stop here. We did a lot of punching today. We have a little bit more to do tomorrow. Yeah, that's it. See you tomorrow. Day 3, yay! Let's continue punching. Punching this corset belt is actually really fun because it's coming along a lot quicker than I expected. I figured that this would take me like a couple of weeks to do because I was making like a somewhat complex pattern and only using fine yarn, and I'm just thinking about like the construction time. I just felt like it would take me a while, but I'm almost done the center part of the belt, which is awesome. Now all that's left is to punch the sides here. And what I really wanted was for the orange to be a highlight, since the placket pieces of this corset belt are going to be made out of the orange wool fabric. So what I did was I added a little band of orange outside the center part of the corset belt, and then added a huge band of orange on the sides right beside the plackets. And then because I couldn't come up with the design that I was satisfied with, I just punched the inner parts of the sides with this dark blue heathered yarn, which I think is gonna look really cool, just like the balance between the complex pattern and then like a more simple side. I don't know. But with that, we are done punching the entire corset belt. Yay! I'm gonna snip off my ends of yarn here and then steam press the belt so that it lies flat. We'll absolutely need this piece flat for the next stage of the project, which is construction. Construction day, build baby build. So I marked a seam allowance outside this belt, and what I'm doing right now is zigzag stitching on this seam allowance because we're gonna have to cut this belt out of our fabric here and we don't want it fraying. Can I be so honest right now? I am so nervous about this. I'm actually so nervous. I'm just praying that it doesn't fray and fall apart. Having a serger or an overlock machine would be even better for this, but I don't have one sadly, so zigzag stitch it is. It is on my wish list though for when I start making money off of YouTube. Speaking of which, you should go check out some of my other videos on my channel to support me. I think my videos are pretty cool and interesting, so if you like this one, you'll probably like the other ones too. Anyways, I cut out my belt from my fabric, making sure that I didn't cut into the zigzag stitch, and then pressed the top and bottom edges of my belt. Folks, there is a reason why I'm not a sewing channel. 85% of sewing is literally pressing. Pressing your fabric, pressing seams. Do I sound like someone who has the patience to move my camera setup from one room to the next every 5 minutes? No. No, I do not. But I will agree that pressing is necessary for sewing, which is why I tried to film as much of it as possible. I pressed the top and bottom edges of my belt, like I said, to sew a lining on the inside. I'm following Micah's instructions here for sizing and what stitches to use. I'm personally partial to sewing a seamless lining, where you can't see any monk's cloth at all. I've done this in quite a few videos, like this one where I made a punch needle Christmas stocking, but I'd really like to just follow this step by step and see how this works. Perhaps some monk's cloth showing is no big deal. So let's sew this up and we'll be done for the day. Okay, day 5. Probably my last day of working on this project because I think we'll finish it today. What we're gonna start off with is cutting and sewing our front placket pieces. Can I just be so honest with you guys again and say that this is the part I'm most nervous about? I only have this little rectangle of orange wool fabric, and if I mess up, then it's all over. So we're gonna carefully mark and sew our plackets, and hopefully, oh thank goodness. Okay, yeah, they fit the corset belt. We're good. Everything's good. To sew them on, I'm gonna press them flat once again, press in the seam allowance, pin them to the ends of the belt, and sew. And with that, we are done with construction. Well, almost. All that's left is to add eyelets. I had some old eyelets left over from years ago when I punch needled shoes to wear at my university graduation. Go check that video out if you want. So I had those, and I dug them out again just for this. I was debating between gold and silver, but ultimately went with gold at the direction of the council. What I mean by that is I asked my friends in our group chat what was better. Thanks, guys. These eyelets are actually a pain in the butt to get on, and after a bit of Googling, I learned that these are probably like the worst quality eyelets you could buy. There are way better ones that are easier to put on. I just learned that. I didn't even know that until now. Don't get me wrong, I attached them properly, but in the future, I'm definitely gonna buy the better quality ones. Okay, so our eyelets are attached. Our very last step here is to lace up our corset belt. And what will we lace it up with, you might ask? This is cotton piping. It's used in punch needle for hemming. People tuck and roll it in a hem for a curved, ridged look, and then whip stitch on top of it. It looks really cool. It gives like a really nice clean finish, and it's the original reason why I have it, but I think it also works to lace this corset. So let's give it a try. Oh my god, you guys. This is incredible. Look at this, our finished corset belt. I paired it with this sage green dress that I bought years ago, and I just think it looks so sick. Oh, it looks awesome. At this point, you're probably wondering why I haven't tried it on for myself. Well, so I made a little bit of a measurement error. The corset fits me, but I don't know, maybe it was my outfit or something, but I kind of wanted it to have a looser fit. The construction is great, but it's my fault probably for taking so much off of the paper pattern in the first place. I'm not upset by the outcome though. It looks really cool. I was able to use up so much yarn and fabric, and I'm looking forward to using this as a sample piece to show other punchers and demonstrate punch needle fashion and how this craft can be used in so many different ways. Maybe one day I'll make one again because I feel like this would be so cool for something like a Ren fair, but I'll definitely make it bigger now that I'm more familiar with how it should fit. Shout out to Micah once again for the awesome book with great projects. You guys should definitely go buy this book or check it out in your local library if you haven't already. I can't wait to try out some of the other projects that she has in the book. But thanks for watching, like and subscribe. Until next time.